The morning sun barely pierced the dense fog that clung to the rocky cliffs surrounding the remote training camp. Mia Hernandez stepped lightly onto the gravel path, her grip firm, yet relaxed on the massive Barrett 50 rifle slung over her shoulder. The air was thick with anticipation, and quiet murmurs from the other snipers gathered for the extreme long-range test. This was no ordinary day, and no ordinary test. The challenge was as much about mind as muscle and precision. Mia moved with the confidence of someone who had handled the weapon more times than most had even dreamed of touching. Her eyes scanned the horizon, measuring distance, calculating wind speed and trajectory without hesitation. The other soldiers eyed her with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. This young woman with a calm demeanor and steely gaze was unlike anyone they had ever seen. At barely 23 years old, she had already earned whispers among the elite circles, but today she would either prove her legend or be dismissed forever. The SEAL Commander Jackson stood apart from the crowd, his arms crossed, his brow furrowed, watching Mia intently. He had heard the rumors of her record, the unbelievable sniper shot that seemed almost mythic. But like many, he was cautious. He knew better than to trust stories, especially when lives hung in the balance. His eyes narrowed as he tracked Mia's slow, measured movements and the way she set up the massive rifle with deliberate care. The range was brutal, stretching over 3,000 meters a distance, where even the smallest miscalculation could mean failure. At that length, bullets didn't just travel, they battled gravity, wind, and every invisible force nature could muster. Mia's hands were steady as she adjusted her scope, calibrating every variable with a precision that seemed impossible. The other snipers struggled under the weight of nerves and equipment, their breaths shallow and movements jerky in contrast. Whispers floated across the clearing, a mix of disbelief and awe as Mia took her position, fired, and the earth shook with the recoil. The bullet soared through the air, a deadly whisper against the wind, and seconds later it struck the target dead center, a perfect kill at a distance no one had expected to be achievable without advanced artillery. The shock on the faces of her peers was unmistakable. Even Commander Jackson's stern expression cracked ever so slightly as realization dawned on him. The camp fell into a silence so deep it felt as if time itself had stopped. Every eye was on Mia, the girl who handled the Barrett 50 with precision beyond belief, but no one yet knew the full story, the secret behind the shot, the real reason she was here. Her calm exterior masked a past riddled with pain, sacrifice, and a mission that had tested her limits beyond any training exercise. This was only the beginning. As Mia slung the rifle back over her shoulder and turned to leave, the murmurs grew louder. Questions filled the air. Who was this woman who could command such power and accuracy? What was the story behind her legendary kill? And what would happen when the SEAL commander finally uncovered the truth? The answers lay hidden just beyond the horizon, waiting to change everything. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the camp, and the stage was set for a revelation that no one saw coming, but everyone would remember forever. The camp stirred to life under a sky slowly brightening with the promise of dawn. Yet a tension hung heavy in the air, thicker than the morning fog that clung stubbornly to the rocky cliffs. Corporal Mia Hernandez moved with deliberate calm, her mind racing beneath the surface like a storm waiting to break. The Barrett 50 rifle slung over her back felt like an extension of herself, every muscle primed for the challenge ahead. But this was no ordinary mission. It was a reckoning, a test of everything she had survived and everything she had learned. Commander Jackson paced with an intensity that betrayed his usual composed facade. He had watched Mia with a mixture of skepticism and grudging respect, the impossible shot still replaying in his mind. His team had seen many skilled marksmen, but few possessed the lethal combination of precision, calm, and instinct that she displayed. Yet questions gnawed at him. What was the story behind that legendary kill, and why had she been sent here now? What was she hiding beneath the quiet exterior, and how far was she willing to push herself to prove it? The other soldiers gathered in small groups, whispering theories and exchanging glances. Their skepticism was laced with curiosity, some admiring her skill, others doubting her strength. Yet no one dared approach her directly. The aura of mystery that surrounded Mia was like a shield no one could penetrate, and the silence she maintained only fueled the rumors. The clock was ticking, and soon the truth would either set her free or shatter everything she had. Built as the sun climbed higher, the team was briefed on a simulated mission that would push every sniper to their limits, a high-stakes exercise requiring stealth endurance and flawless marksmanship. The target was distant, elusive, and guarded by a terrain that tested navigation and nerve. Mia listened intently, her eyes flickering with a mix of determination and something deeper, an unspoken promise that this mission would be her proving ground. The journey to the extraction point was grueling. Rocky slopes and thick underbrush challenged their progress. The wind whispered warnings, and the weight of expectation pressed down on them. With each step, Mia's mind drifted back to that fateful day, the mission etched forever in her memory when a single shot from her rifle had saved a squad pinned down behind enemy lines. The precision, the focus, and the impossible distance had earned her a record, the longest confirmed sniper kill in military history. But the price had been high and the secret heavier still. Commander Jackson watched from a distance as Mia moved with silent efficiency, her every action precise and measured. The soldiers who had mocked her at the mess hall now found themselves following her lead with hesitant respect, their doubts melting into a realization that here was a warrior forged not just by training but by the harshest fires of combat and sacrifice. Suddenly the quiet shattered with the crack of simulated gunfire, and the mission ignited into chaos. Bullets tore through the air, forcing split-second decisions and pushing nerves to the breaking point. Mia's voice cut through the turmoil, steady and commanding, directing her team with an authority that brooked no argument. The ground beneath their feet seemed to tremble with the intensity of the encounter. Yet her focus never wavered as the team closed in on the target. Mia's heart pounded with a mix of fear and resolve. The moment demanded everything she had learned about patience and precision. The rifle in her hands felt alive, a conduit between her and the impossible shot that had defined her. She took a breath, held it, and squeezed the trigger. The world seemed to hold its breath with her. The bullet flew true again, a whisper of death, and a silent testament to her skill. The target was neutralized and the mission a success, but the real victory was the shifting perception of the soldiers around her. The legend was no longer a story but a living, breathing reality. And yet even as praise echoed, Mia knew this was just a step on a longer path. A path shadowed by secrets and the unyielding demands of duty. As the sun began its slow descent, casting the camp into long shadows, Mia and Commander Jackson faced each other in silence. The weight of unspoken truths hung between them. He had seen her skill, he had witnessed her leadership. But the question remained. What had driven this remarkable sniper to carry such a burden, and what would happen when the full story came to light? Wind stirred the leaves and carried whispers of the past and promises of what was to come. The camp waited, holding its breath for the moment when the SEAL commander would learn the truth behind the 247-meter kill and the woman who handled the Barrett 50 with unmatched precision. The night cloaked the training camp in a shroud of darkness, broken only by the faint glow of distant stars and the soft hum of restless soldiers. The air was thick with anticipation and unspoken questions about the woman who had mastered the Barrett 50 with such deadly grace. Corporal Mia Hernandez sat alone on a weathered bench, her thoughts drifting back to that mission that had changed everything. The memory was sharp and vivid, like the crack of a rifle, echoing in the stillness. Her hands traced the outline of the rifle etched into her skin, the tattoo that few had noticed, and even fewer understood. Commander Jackson paced beneath the flickering lights of the command center, his mind a tempest of doubt and curiosity. The impossible shot at 3,247 meters was more than a record. It was a story of survival sacrifice and secrets buried deep beneath layers of classified missions and whispered orders. He had to know what had driven Mia to become the sniper she was, and why she had hidden her true history from everyone. The following morning, the camp buzzed with a different energy. A challenge unlike any before was set in motion. The snipers were tasked with a live exercise that would simulate the chaos of combat, testing not only their marksmanship, but their ability to adapt, think, and lead under pressure. Mia moved through the briefing with a quiet intensity. Her eyes met Jackson's for a brief moment, a silent exchange that held 1,000 words, and more than a hint of the truth yet to come. As they moved out into the rugged terrain, the tension was palpable. Every step was calculated, every breath measured. The team relied on Mia's guidance, her experience shining through her every command. The wind shifted unpredictably, carrying with it the scent of danger and the promise of confrontation. Shadows danced among the rocks and trees, as if mocking the fragile peace before the storm. Suddenly, gunfire erupted, tearing through the silence and shattering the calm. The exercise turned real in a heartbeat. The team scattered, seeking cover, while Mia assessed the battlefield with razor-sharp focus. Her mind raced, calculating trajectories and possible enemy positions. The Barrett 50 felt like an extension of her very being, her heartbeat syncing with the pulse of the rifle. Amid the chaos, Jackson found himself relying on Mia more than ever. Her calm voice cut through the noise, directing the team. With precision and unwavering confidence, it was in that moment he saw the true measure of her strength, not just skill with a rifle, but leadership forged in the crucible of war and pain. The mission reached its climax as Mia spotted a figure moving. In the distance, a high-value target trying to slip through the chaos. She steadied her aim, the familiar calm washing over her, like a tide drawing back before the inevitable strike. The target was beyond normal range, yet Mia's eye didn't waver. She exhaled slowly and squeezed the trigger. The bullet traced a deadly arc through the air and found its mark. The team held their breath as the target fell. The simulated battle was won, but for Mia, it was a reminder of the past, a past filled with ghosts and burdens few could bear. She lowered the rifle and met Jackson's gaze. He nodded with newfound respect and something softer, something like understanding. The walls between them began to crumble, revealing the truth that had long been buried. Beneath the surface, later that night in the quiet of the command center, Jackson finally confronted Mia with the question that had haunted him. What drove you to make that impossible shot? He listened as she spoke in measured tones of a squad trapped behind enemy lines of friends lost, and the weight of that single bullet that had changed everything. The 3,247-meter kill was more than a record. It was a testament to sacrifice and the will to protect as the dawn approached. Their conversation ended, but the bond forged in that exchange promised to reshape the future. The soldiers who had once doubted Mia now saw her as more than a sniper. They saw a warrior, a leader, and a legend in the making. And Commander Jackson knew that the mission ahead would demand all of their strength and courage, united by the truth and the unbreakable spirit of the woman who handled the Barrett 50 with precision. The camp settled into uneasy quiet, but beneath the surface a storm was gathering, a storm that would test every bond and every skill in ways none of them could yet imagine. The story was far from over, and the shadows of the past still lingered, waiting for the right moment to strike. The first light of dawn crept over the horizon, casting long, pale rays across the rugged terrain of the training camp, where shadows still clung to the jagged rocks and whispering trees. Corporal Mia Hernandez stood silently surveying the field ahead, her breath steady, her hands steady, but beneath the calm surface a storm of memories churned the weight of her past missions, pressing down like an unseen burden. Around her, the soldiers moved with purpose, unaware of the storm about to break, and the truth poised to emerge that would change everything. They thought they knew. Commander Jackson approached with measured steps, his expression unreadable but his eyes sharp as ever. The events of the previous days had peeled back layers of doubt and replaced them with a grudging respect tinged with curiosity. The secret behind Mia's legendary 32-47-meter kill was no longer a whisper in the dark, but a truth that demanded reckoning. The camp itself seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the inevitable moment when past and present would collide. The briefing began with an intensity that left no room for error. A new mission was unfolding, one that would push the limits of skill, endurance, and trust. Mia's leadership was now undisputed, but the real test lay ahead, an operation shrouded in danger and uncertainty. The target was elusive and the terrain unforgiving, requiring every ounce of precision and strategy that Mia and the team could muster as the soldiers prepared. The air grew thick with anticipation and a silent determination, so past had shaped them all, but it was the future that now demanded their focus. The weight of their equipment was heavy, but nothing compared to the weight of what was at stake. The mission was not just about a single shot or a record. It was about survival, about loyalty, and the price of courage. Moving into position, Mia's thoughts drifted again to that fateful mission etched into her memory, a mission where a single bullet from her Barrett 50 had saved an entire squad pinned behind enemy lines. The impossible distance, the calculated risk, and the raw will to protect had defined her path. But now she faced a new challenge, a new test that threatened to unravel the delicate balance she had fought so hard to maintain. The terrain was merciless. Jagged rocks and dense foliage formed a labyrinth of shadows and threats. Each step forward was a battle against nature and the unseen enemy lurking just beyond sight. Mia's commands were clear and precise, guiding her team through the deadly maze with a confidence born of experience. The wind shifted unpredictably, carrying with it the scent of danger and the cold whisper of past ghosts. Suddenly the silence exploded into chaos. Gunfire erupted, tearing through the air with deadly intent. The simulated mission became an all-too-real fight for survival. The soldiers scattered, taking cover while Mia assessed the battlefield. Her eyes sharp, calculating trajectories and threats with unerring accuracy. The Barrett 50 in her hands was no longer just a weapon. It was a lifeline, a beacon of hope amidst the storm. As the firefight raged, Mia spotted a movement distant and fleeting, a figure attempting to escape the fray, a high-value target slipping through the chaos. The moment demanded everything she had honed over years of training and the crucible of combat. Her breath steady, her aim unshaken. She took the shot. The bullet flew, a silent messenger of fate, and found its mark, true and deadly. The battle ended as swiftly as it had erupted, the team regrouping amidst the fading echoes of gunfire. The mission was a success, but the victory carried a heavier meaning. Mia's skills had saved lives once again, but the scars beneath the surface told a deeper story. A story of sacrifice, loss, and the relentless pursuit of duty that no one else could understand. In the aftermath, Commander Jackson approached Mia, his expression softened by respect and something deeper. The truth of her record, her story, her sacrifice lay bare between them, no longer hidden in shadows. The soldiers who had once mocked now stood in awe, recognizing the strength, the courage, and the humanity behind the legend as the sun rose higher, casting golden light across the camp the bonds forged. In fire and battle grew unbreakable. Mia stood not just as a sniper but as a leader, a symbol of resilience and hope. The mission was far from over, but the future held promise shaped by truth, courage, and the unyielding spirit of the woman who handled the Barrett 50 with precision. And somewhere in the distance, the wind carried a whisper of what was to come, a new challenge, a new story waiting to be written in the lives of those who dared to face the impossible and survive. There was no time to rest as the echoes of their victory faded into the dawn light, the camp buzzing with renewed energy. Yet beneath the surface, tension simmered like a slow burn, a new threat looming just beyond the horizon. Mia Hernandez stood at the edge of the cliff, her eyes scanning the vast expanse below the weight of the Barrett 50 rifle, familiar and comforting, but also a reminder of the battles yet to come. Commander Jackson approached silently, his presence steady and unwavering, his respect for Mia now evident in every measured step. They exchanged a glance charged with unspoken understanding and the knowledge that their next mission would demand everything they had and more. The briefing was terse and urgent. Intelligence had revealed enemy movements, shifting closer to their position. An ambush planned with ruthless precision. The team prepared quickly, the air thick with anticipation and the cold bite of uncertainty. As they moved out, Mia led with the quiet authority of one who had seen the edge of death and returned her every decision, a lifeline for those who trusted her. The terrain grew more unforgiving, the wind carrying whispers of danger that seemed to close in around them. Shadows lengthened, and every sound echoed like a warning. The soldiers moved with caution, yet determination, the bond between them forged in the crucible of their shared trials. The night would bring its own challenges, but Mia's steady hand and unwavering focus held them together like a beacon in the darkness. As they reached the designated position, the enemy appeared like ghosts from the shadows. The firefight erupted fierce and relentless. Bullets flew and chaos reigned. But Mia's eyes never faltered. Her aim never wavered. Her shot rang out, cutting through the noise, a signal that they would not be broken. Not tonight. Not ever. In the silence that followed, the team gathered weary but unbowed. Mia and Jackson exchanged a nod of hard-earned respect, knowing this was only the beginning of a battle that would define them all. "Would you like me to continue further?"